The female Earthling grabbed a small box from the kitchen, peeked inside, then quickly slammed it shut. I asked what it was, but she ignored me. I followed her down the hall until we reached August's cell, where we found him resting quietly on the floor. The female Earthling flipped the switch on the wall, causing a slot to materialize in the center of the door. Heavy snoring immediately bellowed into the hall, as August clearly wasn't having any trouble sleeping. The female Earthling leaned in close to the door slot.
Time to eat.
August flinched, then yawned loudly.
Aw, you cooked. I'm starving.
I wasn't talking to you.
The female Earthling reached into the box and plucked out a chunky worm-like creature covered in slimy purple hairs. The worm wiggled and spasmed in between her gloved fingers, doing its best to break free as the purple slime dripped onto her pant leg. The female Earthling reached out and flung the worm into the room. The slick creature hit the floor with a wet slap.
So, you work for Kilroy?
August tried kicking the worm away with the toe of his boot, but the worm clung to the floor.
I told you I'm going after him.
Why don't I believe you?
The female Earthling tossed another worm into the room. The worms wiggled their bodies against one another, then squirmed toward August's boot, leaving a gooey, purple-tinted trail of slime as they went.
It's the truth, Peaches.
August smashed 2 worms under his heel, then shimmied into the corner of the room.
I sure miss the taste of a freshly picked peach. You like peaches?
Never had the pleasure, but my mom spoke fondly of them.
The female Earthling tipped the box and dumped the remaining worms through the slot in the door. The worms hit the floor and immediately followed the trail of slime toward August.
Am I supposed to be scared, or is this your idea of food?
She sealed the slot shut, then raised her wrist to her mouth.
Rusty, turn off the centrifuge in 11p.
August and the worms lifted off the ground and floated around the room like they were attached to invisible wires. August fought to maneuver himself in the air, but failed. The worms, on the other hand, darted around the cell like earth dragonflies. August swatted wildly at them as they flew close to his face.
What is this, some sort of game?
The female Earthling calmly spoke into the intercom.
They're wabi-sabi worms, and they're attracted to the calcium in your bones. They'll chew through Diamond Shield for the stuff.
A worm zipped between August's legs, forcing him to shield his crotch.
What's the point of all this?
Got anything to tell me?
There's nothing to tell.
A worm darted across the room and latched onto August's forearm. He pinched the hairy creature, causing it to explode between his fingers and spray droplets of purple goo into the air.
Careful. Their blood is highly poisonous.
August frantically wiped his fingers off on the nearest wall.
You're just gonna have to kill me, because I don't have any answers for you.
The female Earthling glared through the door. August glared back. Droplets of goo circled his head. She tried breaking him, but he refused to budge. Or maybe he was telling the truth. Either way, the female Earthling knew she was beat.
Rusty, turn the centrifuge back on.
August crashed to the floor and proceeded to smash everything in the room that wiggled.
I know what's going on.
And what's that?
August strutted over to the door with an air of confidence.
You thought you were the only human left. Well, guess what, Peaches? You're wrong.
The female Earthling swiped the empty box from the floor and handed it to me. I made sure to keep it at arm's length.
Enjoy your time in there.
I followed the female Earthling back into the kitchen, where she took the box from me, placed it on a table, and headed to the sink. Why she kept these horrid creatures on board was something of a concern.
He's trouble. I can feel it.
Just curious, why would you keep such horrible things on the ship?
Because they're delicious.
But you said they would kill...
I lied.
The frustration oozed from her pores. If it was anyone else, I am sure she would have already tossed them into the garbage chute. But she seemed slightly intrigued by August. He appeared to be human, and that seemed to be driving her crazy. It was most likely the only reason he was still alive. So, what now?
We head to Tashdrun and figure this all out.
What about Kilroy?
I'm not sure, but we won't make it easy for him to follow us.
How so?
Because we're taking the road less traveled.
She dried her hands and tossed the towel into the sink.
It's a long trip to Tashdrun. I suggest finding something to do. And if I catch you talking to Mr. Personality, I'll drop you both off at the closest bobber.